Are you one of those countless people who choose to rent a home instead of trying to buy one for whatever reason that might be? Then you're in the right place. This video is designed for you, as I will break down all the truths and the myths of renting versus buying. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Mike West, a licensed real estate agent here in Southeast Michigan, and I love helping to educate people on the whole buying and selling process and pretty much everything real estate. In this video series, I'm going to discuss a bit about what some of the biggest differences are between renting and buying, so you can be better educated to make the best decision for yourself and your family before you move. First of all, I'd like to note that a variety of factors can change from person to person. So I want you to see this information as a guide more than anything. And as I mentioned, I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Michigan, and I primarily work in Oakland, Wayne, Macomb, Washita, and Monroe counties. So if you're watching this video from outside of that area, there may be some differences between what you experience and what we see here in our own market area. But many of the same principles may still apply to you. So let's dive right into part one, the dollar for dollar move-in and 2-year plan. If you're like so many Americans over the past few years, you've likely been struggling to find affordable housing and feel like your best option is to rent, considering how crazy the market is right now. But you've also likely noted how incredibly high rent has gotten over these past 2 years as well. So that's where we are right now, is at this balancing point, trying to figure out which is the best way to go for you. In another video, I explain the buying process and some of the costs associated with it. You can find that video on my YouTube channel at the link below. But here, let's first take a look into the cost of renting a home in the Metro Detroit area. As of mid-2024, when I'm recording this, rent rates for the Tri-County area are anywhere between $1,000 and $2,400 a month, whether you're inner city or in the suburbs. This averages out to around $1,700 a month. For many rental homes that I've seen, it's not uncommon for the move-in cost to include first and last month's rent, as well as a security deposit of 1.5 times rent as well. So for the average $1,700 rental home, you could be looking at spending $3,400 for the first and last month, plus $2,550 for that security deposit, for a total of $5,950, plus your application fees of approximately $50 or more at times. And as you know, if you're in the rental market, it sometimes takes multiple applications till you can get one accepted. So that's about $6,000 right off the bat. So now what if you have pets? This price range could be extreme, from a $300 non-refundable cleaning fee up front to a monthly pet fee that could be $50 or $150 more per month. I've seen some pretty wild numbers, and those are just the averages. So now how does that compare to buying a home, dollar per dollar? As explained in one of my other videos, I broke down the cost of a typical $200,000 home with out-of-pocket expenses using an FHA loan. With that example, we got a total cost of approximately $14,000, and that's without using any down payment assistance or seller's concessions. Now that's obviously a significant price difference from the $6,000 we're looking at here to rent. It appears that renting is about 42% cheaper up front. That's obviously a significant price difference. It appears that renting is about 42% cheaper up front. So count this as a point for the rental property. That is, until you factor in the creative ways or programs we can use to reduce that $14,000 to sometimes less than $3,000 out of pocket. I've done this several times before. But let's keep going with this at the scenario we've got right now. So what does that 2-year outlook look like financially? Let's say you locked in a nice 2-year lease agreement with no price change built into the lease agreement during that time period, which is kind of hard to find, but let's use that as our example. At the end of this 2-year term, you will have paid $40,800 plus your initial security deposit of $2,550 and any pet fees or other fees that might be applied. So let's call it about $43,000 spent over that 2-year period. Now, take that $200,000 typical house I was referring to. You might have an average monthly mortgage of about $1,800 a month, which includes principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and PMI if you were using an FHA loan with 3.5% down and a 6.5% interest rate. Obviously, multiple things can affect what that cost will be, but that's going to be in the ballpark where we're going to be at. So by the end of the 2-year term, you will have spent about $43,200 plus the original purchase expenses of around $14,000. So let's call it $57,000. By the end of the lease term, you may need to be finding a new home. You may or may not get your security deposit back after you move out, depending on the condition the home is left in. But in any situation, you will not be refunded any of the $43,000 that you spent for rent over the last 2 years. What's spent is gone. At this time, don't be surprised if the rental market has increased by another 3 to 6% from when you first secured the home. And that could be 3 to 6% per year. So get ready to pay another group of application fees and moving costs. Now, on the ownership side, you may decide it's finally time to move, and you're going to choose to sell the home after this 2-year period. Our current market conditions are continuing to show growth for the coming future. Let's say that if you only maintain your home's original condition with no improvements, that the property value would still likely increase conservatively by around 6% over that 2-year time span. That's actually very conservative, but let's use that as our number. So now that $200,000 house you bought 2 years ago is going to be sold for around $212,000 in the future. During the time that you live there, you likely pay down the principal balance another $3,500. So the remaining mortgage that needs to be paid off when you sell this home is approximately $187,000. So there's about $30,000 worth of equity here to work with. That's $33,000 worth of equity you did not have as a renter. Of course, there's going to be some costs associated with selling the home, but you'll still bring in a nice chunk of cash after all the expenses for yourself to use towards your next home. So let's say you get to keep about $15,000 out of that $33,000 after expenses. Your net expenses for that 2-year plan has moved now from $57,000 down to $42,000. Ultimately, that 2-year plan shows that you're actually spending $1,000 less than you would if you were renting. On a 5-year plan, the difference between these two options is tremendously greater in favor of the homeowner. On average, a homeowner has approximately 37% more wealth than that of any renter. But Mike, what about all the expenses that come with owning a home? Things like the maintenance. Well, stay tuned to part 2 of this video series as I cover this concept as well as plenty of others to compare. If you found this video helpful and you'd like to learn more, reach out to me on my personal cell at 313-288-0553 or shoot me a DM. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.